Hi, I'm Laura Lively. Welcome to you and all of your parts. So, today we're in the middle of a series, as we've been for a couple of weeks, about what I call my triple A's of parts work. I say parts want three things: they want to be acknowledged, accepted, and appreciated. That's the third one. If we can do those three things, then we are building a relationship with those parts, and then they are more likely to relax and give us more access to self energy. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. The last 2 weeks, I talked about the fourth A, which would actually make it a quadruple A, but that doesn't sound right. So the fourth A is awareness. We have to be aware that we have parts, and our parts can show up as thoughts, emotions. They can show up as impulses, as bodily sensations, as memories that seemingly come out of nowhere. That's how our parts show up for us. And with awareness, which is the fourth A, is, my invitation to you a couple of weeks ago was to learn to start watching those thoughts, those emotions, and start to be aware of them as parts of you. Not all of you, but parts of you. And so then that was 2 weeks ago. Then this last week, we talked about acknowledgement and how humans love to be acknowledged and how we feel when we are acknowledged, and also how we feel when we are not acknowledged, when we feel like we should have been. Because our parts, in most cases, may not have been acknowledged for a very long time in our lives, depending on how old we were when we became aware of parts work. So today's video and talk is on acceptance. And I will be candid with you. This can be the trickiest and most nuanced to get, to be able to work into your life. And that is okay. It's a practice. We want to get into the habit of learning to accept the part as they are. Now, the reason that's hard is sometimes it can be difficult for us to accept the parts of us that have us behave in ways that we don't like. I have freely talked about my road rage part, and my road rage part can take over. I can overly blend with that part, and the next thing you know, I'm chasing people through traffic. Now, it hasn't happened in quite a while, but it can absolutely happen. You might imagine, I don't know how many of you have road rage parts, but you might imagine that I also have parts, and it would be accurate, it would be correct. I have parts that don't like the road rage part. I have parts that think that part has zero benefit in the system. It thinks it's ridiculous. It thinks we're scaring our husband. It gets furious at the road rage part. So now I've got two parts kind of fighting with each other, right? Like I've got the road rage part who's livid about something, and now I've got another part livid at the road rage part. So neither of those, if I've got one mad at the other one, there's no acceptance there, is there? My job with some self-energy is to have acceptance to the road rage part, as well as to the part that's angry at the road rage part. So what comes up a lot in the work I do with clients, as well as in my own life, is we have parts that judge other parts of us. So I've got the one that's angry at the road rage part is judging it for doing its thing, right? If I'm judging, then I'm blended with the judger. And I also just want to say very carefully and clearly, the judger is also welcome here in my system. I accept that it is here as well. And then you may have another part, this is one of my favorites, the judge is the judger. Judging is wrong. You shouldn't be judging people, because it makes me giggle, like you're judging the judger. Can you see that? That part is also welcome in my system. I see you, road rage part. I see the part judging the road rage part. And I see the judge judging the judger, judging the road rage part. I see all of you. You are all welcome here. I accept you as you are. Now, that doesn't mean I might not want to get to know them all better. And in fact, I've been working with the road rage part for a couple of years now. He is less likely to get activated. The judger, well, that is a lifetime of work it's been doing. And so I still work with it. We all have judgers. So the acceptance piece can be one of the most difficult because we get blended with the parts that judge. We get blended with the parts that don't like the other part's behavior. And that is okay too. And so being able to accept whatever that part is, it has its own wisdom for what it's doing. It has its own belief that what it's doing is important in your life to help protect you. So acceptance, not going to lie, that is the hardest part, I think, the hardest component, I guess, to use a different word, of acknowledging, accepting, and appreciating. But it's a key component. It's important to learn to accept whatever's happening with your system and accept that they are there doing their dead level best to help you. So I hope that's helpful. I'm inviting you to add acceptance into your routine of parts work. Notice when you are accepting of the part and notice when you're not. Because if you're not accepting of what the part's doing, you've met another part. Welcome it to. Again, this one's a little more nuanced. This one's a little harder to tease out, and a little harder to practice, to be candid. But by building this acceptance of your parts, you are building more self-compassion for all of you. And then the interesting byproduct is you end up developing more self-compassion for others outside of you. So the compassion that you're able to turn towards yourself is something that you're also able to give more of out in the world. So I hope that this has been helpful. Please feel free to drop me a comment, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any content. And until next time, love to you and all of your parts.